Long before the first Europeans settled along the Cattaraugus Creek in Saratoga County, the Mohawk tribe of the Iroquois Nation set up seasonal hunting and fishing camps along this waterway. In 1768, the leaders of these Native Americans reached an agreement to cede ownership of 406,000 acres to descendants of the proprietors who had been granted this land by Queen Anne 60 years before. Surveyors mapped out 13 lots in the name of the 13 original proprietors in each of 25 allotments. In the 6th lot of the 16th allotment, pioneers settled along the creek in a community that became known as Rock City, a testament to the bedrock that protruded to the surface in this area. Among the first to arrive was Jonathan Hatch, who built the first sawmill along the creek at the west end of the future village before 1790.
Brothers Daniel and Valentine Rathbun followed the path of many settlers relocating from their ancestral home in Connecticut. Arriving here about 1790, they soon established a sawmill and a fulling mill above the Great Falls, the later location of the Kilmer Stone Mill. The Rathbun graves in this cemetery are a testament to the misfortunes that befell their family. Daniel Jr. died in 1808 at the age of 49. His gravestone inscription tells the story. His death was occasioned by an accident at the mill, as seen right in here. Worse still, this cemetery is the final resting place for 9 of the Rathbun children who died under the age of 10 between the years of 1793 and 1819. Valentine and his wife Love lived on, both dying in 1844 at the age of 75. The Rathbun family built a legacy of industry on the creek that future generations of Rock City Falls residents would take to the new levels in the years to come.
Unfortunately for the Rathbun family, 1808 was a bad year for another reason. In addition to Daniel dying in the sawmill accident, his daughter had married Aaron Whitlock that same year, and she died the same year. And so Daniel's son-in-law, Aaron Whitlock, took over the business of the fulling mill and ran it for several years after that. After Daniel Rathbun's death in 1808, his son-in-law Aaron Whitlock took over the fulling mill, but after a few years sold it and moved away. The new owners advertised a full range of wool mill processes, including pickling, oiling, carding, and cloth dressing. The Great Falls continued to be a major mill site throughout the 19th century. In 1835, Isaac Rowland, whose father Isaac had established the mills at Rowland's Hollow, 5 miles to the east, built a grist mill on the site, and 5 years later partnered with another local man, Chauncey Kilmer, to construct a paper mill. It was the paper mills that would become the mainstay of Rock City Falls industry and employment even to this day.
The Stone Arch Bridge was constructed in 1832 so people and goods could get over the creek. It was very important as it connected the lower part of Rock City Falls to the mills. Cornelius Du Bois was paid $165 by the town of Milton to build the first stone arch bridge at Rathbun Village, aka Rock City Falls. In 1952, part of this bridge washed away and collapsed due to heavy rainfall. It collapsed only minutes after a school bus with 30 students had passed over the bridge. It was replaced by a steel bridge.
As more families moved to the area, the need to educate children grew. There were 2 schoolhouses in the hamlet. Schoolhouse District Number 12 served the north end of the hamlet and was established in 1837. It was located across from the Excelsior Mill. Schoolhouse District 5 was established in 1845 and was located across from the Methodist Episcopal Church. By 1878, District Number 5 had 55 students and District Number 12 had 92 students.
This church society started in 1810 at nearby Tubbs Hill. They built a church in 1811 at the intersection of Armour and Grinnell Roads. They worshipped there for 33 years, and in 1844 they decided to relocate to be near the mills. The new church was dedicated in 1845 on the same site as it is today. The parsonage was built across the street next to School Number 5 in 1866. The name was changed in 1897 to Simpson Methodist Episcopal Church, named after the renowned Methodist Bishop Matthew Simpson. On January 25, 1920, the church caught fire and was destroyed. They rebuilt the church, and on February 5, 1922, the new church was dedicated. Today, the church continues to serve its members and its local community.
Chauncey Kilmer also partnered with Isaac Rowland to build a rag paper mill upstream from the stone mill called the Empire Mill. The original mill burned in 1844, and Rowland later moved to Wisconsin. Kilmer then teamed up with Co. Buchanan, an inventor who perfected the process of making paper from rye straw for newsprint. Their contract with the New York Sun made Kilmer a millionaire. George West, born in England, worked for Buchanan at the Pioneer Mill in West Milton before acquiring the Empire Mill from Kilmer in 1862. 4 years later, he constructed the adjacent Excelsior Mill. These mills greatly expanded in the years after the Civil War, drawing workers and their families to Rock City Falls. With these mills and West's factories in Ballston Spa, he became known as the Paper Bag King. Today, the Empire Mill still stands, used as a warehouse by the Cottrell Paper Company.
The hamlet's population grew in the 1860s due to the expansion of the mills. In 1865, the Rock City Falls Hotel was run by 24-year-old Seymour C. Green from Wilton. Seymour ran the hotel for 20 years, where there was room for his family, 3 servants, and 5 boarders. At one time, there was a barber shop in the hotel, and it was the local spot for landowners to pay their taxes and to vote. In October 1884, the hotel sustained a fire. Later that year, Elijah Horton rebuilt the hotel and ran it for the next 30 years. On December 23, 1918, the hotel burned again. The whistle on the stone mill gave the alarm of fire, but the hotel was a total loss. As the heyday of the mills continued, this brought many Irishmen to the area to work in the mills. This brought the need for a Catholic church. In 1872, the parish was formed, and it was incorporated later in 1874. Chauncey Kilmer donated the land for the church. Kilmer's son Clarence donated $300, Mr. Welsh gave $500, and his son gave $100 to erect the building. This became St. Paul's Roman Catholic Church, which is still serving the community from its location on Route 29.
Dr. Truman Parkman was born in 1820 and moved to Greenfield at the age of 2. In 1864, he married Laura Salisbury from Ballston, and she died 5 years later, leaving him childless. He entered Albany Medical College in 1866 and set up his practice in Rock City Falls the following year. He helped deliver more than 1,000 babies in the area. He was very well known. He died at the age of 83 in 1904. He was probably the first one they would call for all the accidents that happened at the mills, which were oftentimes gruesome. The gravestone for him and his wife says, "Erected by friends."
The Ballston Terminal Railroad was an electric passenger and freight trolley line that ran from the village of Ballston Spa to Middle Grove, stopping at Rock City Falls at Tenney's store and post office. It carried mail, newspapers, store supplies, produce, milk from local farms, and students to and from the high school in Ballston Spa. It was vital to the mills in transporting their goods. There were passenger cars and flatbed cars for transporting large loads from the mills. The trolley was affectionately called the PP&J, which stood for push, pull, and jerk.
Young Vibbert and Herbert Tenney came to Rock City Falls in 1898 and set up a store during the great boom of the paper mills. It served as a drop-off site for mail, supplies, produce, and fresh milk. Local children would board the trolley to be transported to Ballston Spa to attend high school. The post office was located in the store, and Vibbert was postmaster. He is pictured here with his 3 daughters. The store lasted 28 years until Vibbert died in 1926. Clarence Rhodes worked in the store for 27 years. The store was located at 1106 Rock City Road on the trolley line. In 1931, Brother Herbert died. The store had the only telephone in the village at the time.
The Big Falls Tavern was located across the street from the current Cottrell Paper Company at the southeast corner of the intersection of Rock City Road and Route 29. It was built around 1900 and was operated in 1903 by Thomas Diamond. The tavern also served as a hotel and hosted many local dances and social events during its relatively short existence. A fire in 1917 caused minimal damage, but in 1927, another fire destroyed the entire building, and it was not rebuilt.
The trolley ran from 1898 to 1929. There was a waiting station by the Empire Mill, which still stands today. Tenney's store and the hotel also served as waiting stations too. There are remnants of another waiting station by the last existing trolley bridge located on Heisler Road. As the use of cars and buses increased, passenger riders decreased. The railroad had several different owners and names due to its constant monetary troubles. The 12-mile span was always in need of repair, and it was finally shut down in 1929 when it was unable to make necessary repairs for safe travel by the Public Service Commission. This forced the mills to close as they had no way to transport their goods. Mill workers didn't have transportation to work now, and teachers had to learn how to drive. This forced the town of Milton to build a decent road to Rock City Falls, which took more than 10 years to complete.
After the mills closed, families moved away for other jobs, and there were less children to teach. District School Number 5 and District School Number 12 consolidated, and on June 17, 1921, the cornerstone for the new school was placed on the site of what was the Rock City Falls Hotel. This building would be added on to in the years to come. It functioned as a school until 1984, when the building was sold. A local business operates from there now. Howard Purvey ran Purvey's service station, which was a general store and gas filling station on Route 29 from 1927 to 1963. Howard was a World War II veteran and died in 1977. His mother, Jenny, lived in Rock City Falls for 50 years, coming to Rock City Falls in 1905. Alfred and Florence Keir bought the store in 1963 and ran it for 20 years before selling it in 1983. Alfred was also a World War II veteran and died in 1985. The building still stands today.
The Milton Fire District No. 1 originally started as a bucket brigade in 1936. Up until this point, fire protection was through Saratoga Springs or Ballston Spa. The land was once owned by Chauncey Kilmer, and there was a stone quarry on the same site around 1900, the remains of which can still be seen today. In 1940, the fire department was created with 25 charter members. They began with a 1940 Ford fire truck and built a firehouse on the stone quarry property. In 1984, the firehouse burned and Milton Eagles rebuilt their station bigger and better.
What we know today as the Mansion of Saratoga was built in 1866 by George West. This was his summer home. It was across the street from his Empire Mill. The West Paper Bag Company sold the mill in 1902 to Edward M. Brown after George West died. Brown renamed the mill as Brown's Paper Mill. Brown then moved into the mansion. In 1964, the vacant building became an antiquing mecca with 15 different antique dealers set up inside. It was known as the Saratoga County Antique Center, which was there for 22 years. In 2001, the building was purchased by Jeff Whitaker and Neil Castro, who have made it into a Victorian-style bed and breakfast and is currently running it as an event venue. In 2006, the owners were awarded the Town of Milton's Heritage Award, and in 2009, it became part of the National Register of Historic Places.
Hello, I'm Ben Cottrell, Vice President at Cottrell Paper Company. I'd like to give you a little history of our mill in Rock City Falls. In 1926, Cottrell Paper Company was established at Rock City Falls by brothers A. Frank Jr. and Jim Cottrell and their father A. Frank Sr., who all came from New England. Cottrell Paper Company is located at the site of the 1859 Kilmer Old Stone Mill, which had also been a paper bag mill. The Cottrell family rebuilt and renovated the mill for the manufacture of electrical insulating papers. This paper is made from 100% cotton, and 90% of the raw materials come from the remnants from jean manufacturers. It was not until after World War II that the company became profitable enough to expand their facilities and market this paper successfully. We're very proud to be the only mill in Rock City Falls, and we now manufacture a wood pulp grade craft paper and have recently developed a 100% machine manufactured hemp sheet. We distribute these high grade electrical insulation papers worldwide, and we have been operational now for 95 years with third and fourth generation family members running the business. We were also recognized in 2011 by the Town of Milton with their Heritage Award, which we're very proud of.
In 1849, the first post office was established, and Harlow Van Ostrin was appointed postmaster. His store served as the post office and was next to Kilmer's stone mill. He held this position for 30 years. Pictured is the Tenney Brothers store and post office. You can see the post office sign. The mail was delivered to the store by the trolley. After Vibert Tenney died in 1926, the post office moved to its current location on Route 29. This site served also as a small general store and gas station. The current post office space is part of a private residence.
The town of Milton purchased the 3.5 acres of land from the Cottrell Mill to make a passive park along the Cottrell Creek by the old Empire Mill on Route 29. It has parking lots, fishing access, a gazebo, a kiosk relating to the Rock City Falls history and importance of the Cottrell Creek, a paved walkway, and is handicapped accessible. It was named the Cottrell Harrington Park and was opened to the public in April of 2005.
For more information about Rock City Falls, please reach out to the Town of Milton or the Saratoga County History Center at Brookside Museum.